All right. Hello, guys. This is Sarah Colata from Architecture Talk Tongue. And today I have Sana from To Scale with me. Really excited. Hey, Sana, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for joining me today on this talk. We're going to talk a little bit about social media. You recently organized a Madcon conference, and also you're very active on social media with all the different work and publications that you do. So I think it'll be great to talk about it with you as well, about community building on social media. So let's just begin with, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you to all these amazing projects that you're doing?
Sure. Hi everyone. My name is Sana. I am a Part 1 architectural assistant, and I'm also the founder of To Scale, which is an architecture community slash blog slash platform. Yeah, we're sort of, based sort of doing kind of weekly articles every single Monday, and we have a Discord channel where our community is based. And we've also done different projects like To Scale Mag, and we really like to sort of collaborate with the Archi community, which is the students and the young professionals and designers. Yeah, that's me.
Excellent. So you started the projects when you were still at uni?
So I actually started the blog right after I graduated because I was kind of looking for jobs, and I thought there must be something I can do that's a bit more productive and I can sort of build my skills with. So I decided to start the blog, and yeah, it kind of built from there. Actually, it was sort of a whole year where I was looking for a job and I had nothing else to do. So I was sort of just working on building this brand and this community, and that's how it kind of came about, really.
Interesting. So what did you start writing about when you started just at the beginning?
So I was really just looking to kind of put out articles or tutorials about stuff that I didn't know about. Because when I was applying for university in school, not many people knew about it, not the teachers or my family or anything. So it was really kind of going into it blind in a sense. And so a part of that, I really just wanted to kind of make it really simple for applicants to kind of get a gist and get a feel of what architecture is all about at university. So we started off with a couple of different blog posts about applying for university or starting your first year at university studying architecture. Um, and then it was also just about, putting out really simple tutorials of diagrams and pages in your portfolio that you would need. And it's actually really helped so many people, which is great, which is exactly what, it set out to do. Um, because I think sometimes we kind of, think about architecture in this grand way and we kind of forget the little details. And, actually in university, you do need certain portfolio pages, you do need this structure and organization, which is the kind of thing I started off doing.
Interesting. So the community grew around that. Tell me a little bit about that, the beginnings of sort of forming the community.
Yeah, so I think originally it had just planned to be a blog. So I actually wasn't expecting Instagram to be my main platform to begin with. But actually, as it grew, I kind of realized that the audience interaction is really important, and community as a whole in architecture is really important. And I think I realized that if I do want to be sort of impacting younger people, then the way to go is to kind of listen to them and engage with them. So stuff like the magazine or Madcon or anything, none of it was planned. It was very spontaneous. But I'm really glad how it worked out, and I think it kind of just shows that it is something that's needed. We do need to sort of band together, and obviously when I started, it was way before the pandemic hit. So after all that, then it's become even more prominent, I think, and even more needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So the magazine then, was it a contribution of several writers?
Yeah, so I put out an open call in about April, just looking for students and people who wanted to write about something that they're interested in. And we sort of had a group of about under 20 people, and these were from around the world, people I'd never met or anything. We were all communicating through our Discord. And we kind of put together several articles and other sort of pieces for the magazine. just to kind of highlight what community means in architecture. And I think it was really important to sort of give these people a voice and a platform and a kind of, a nice sort of space to actually share their voices, which is something we also do on the blog through our guest posts. Is, obviously being just a part one, I don't have all that experience as an architect would. So most of the stuff that I would want to write about, I don't have the experience yet. So I think, giving other people that chance to do the same thing, even if it's just a one-off thing that they can try, and getting to writing and stuff like that, I think that's the key, isn't it? So I think the magazine was just an extension of that, really.
Interesting. And is it something that comes out periodically, or was it a one-off project?
I'm actually not sure yet. People have been asking for the second issue, but I'm not 100% sure, because I think it was, although it was a fantastic experience, it was a lot of hard work. And I'm kind of just, after Madcon especially, I'm kind of just thinking of taking things a bit slowly and kind of reevaluating how we could do it even better and even sort of different in a way. So you'll know when you know, I guess.
Tell us a little bit more about Madcon then. I've watched some of the roundtable discussions and things like that, so it was really great, but I'm not sure if all my community have heard about it. So tell us a little bit more about the event.
Yeah, so Madcon is kind of the sort of event that I curated alongside Gabriel, who is the founder of Artlog Book, and we're sort of we were part of the Mad Collective, which is kind of a group of content creators from around the world. And what it set out to do was that, I was kind of just engaging with other content creators on Instagram so much, and everyone has such amazing content out there, and everyone has their own little niches and things. But I was kind of thinking there must be a way to sort of bring all these people together and actually bring back some value in this whole little community that we have. And so I kind of sent out sort of DMs to people saying, would you like to be part of this sort of group? And we can kind of think of something to do together. So that's how it kind of began. And so Madcon is essentially it's a virtual architecture convention. So we wanted to kind of, make it as engaging as possible. So we kind of decided that we would split off some of the content creators into groups and things based on where their strengths lie. And so the initial idea was to have people collaborating that you wouldn't normally see collaborating. So we had a couple of YouTubers get on together for the first time and actually, review a portfolio and stuff like that. And, highlight kind of topics that we don't really get to see much. And it was great because I think the fact that it was sort of over this 3-day weekend period, although the events were all happening one after the other and not everyone would have gotten to see all the events, the great thing is that they're all sort of archived and they're on the Mad Collective website as a resource. So I think that's also a key point that, people are able to kind of learn from it, and it's kind of like a timeless thing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really just the great thing about it, is that, internet allows us to go back to events and relive it. Yeah. And also leave your own comments, as you rewatch it and things like that. So that's great. So you have the content right now on YouTube as well as on the website?
Yes. Yeah. So all of it's archived. We do have a couple of events still to go up, but yeah, most of it's there.
Brilliant. So again, you don't know if the next one is going to be next year?
No, not really planning that far ahead yet.
Well, it was a great event for sure. And for anyone who's watching, you should guys check it out, Madcon on YouTube. I might even link it up to this video after we're done, so people can just click the link below. So let's talk a little bit about community forming. You've quite successfully built a community around your mag and your social media, but also this Madcon has been, I'm sure, quite a mad run around organizing everything and actually also hearing so many voices and receiving so many comments. And also, whilst the event was happening, there was a lot of comments coming through. So how do you find it after how long you've been doing it now? Like 2 years or?
Yeah, it's been sort of just over a year and a half, I think, since I started the blog. But yeah, I think building a community is really crazy because that's not what I initially set out to do. But I think something that people don't really realize is that, on social media, although it's social media, not everyone is in like social in that way. And I think along with engaging with your audience, it's really good to kind of engage with other creators on the platform. So that's kind of what I've been doing, and sort of celebrating what other people are doing, and the projects they're working on as well. And I think that's how I've been able to kind of make all these different connections with people from around the world who might be in the same boat as me, or might have completely different careers and trajectories and stuff. So I think that's honestly the key to building a community, is kind of just being open and sharing these things that other people are doing as well, because it's not all just about the content I'm creating, it's also about amazing content that's actually out there. So yeah, I think that's how sort of this whole community aspect came about.
Yeah, of course, it's really important. So you recently released also a course about productivity. It's sort of a topic that you talk about a lot, I noticed. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about the product.
Yeah, so I think as I was kind of building this blog, I was also binging a lot of YouTube, as you do. And so I really kind of got into this whole productivity scene, and watching people like Ali Abdal and Thomas Frank, and they're all about productivity and maximizing your time and stuff like that. And I was kind of thinking, how could I apply these things to architecture? So one of those aspects is this concept called building a second brain. And ever since I kind of started using this workspace tool called Notion, it's been kind of this thing that I'm sort of going crazy about on Instagram and recommending to people wherever. So I decided to kind of take that concept and actually apply it to architecture. So the course is called Building an Archi Brain, and it's hosted on the Architecture Social. So it's free, and anyone on the social can access it. And it's just basically about introducing those really basic concepts to architecture students. So for example, although it's not just having using this one tool, it can be in any way. Building a second brain and building an archi brain is kind of all about gathering the resources and tools in advance and putting things on the back burner and planning for your future self, so that later on you can kind of be that organized person and get your projects done on time and hit those deadlines and things, and actually still be able to enjoy the whole sort of university experience, or graduate experience, or whatever it is.
Interesting. So, so what are the key components? Is it just the software that sort of the whole course relies on, or is it also about certain strategies of thinking?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's definitely about the kind of habits that you keep, or the mindset that you have. So although the tool Notion does help, and I do create a lot of different templates as well, I think the same thing can be done in a sketchbook or in a diary or anything. It's not kind of you have to have this software in order to be successful. But I think stuff like, yeah, like I said, planning for your future self, that's something that's been on my mind lately. I think people kind of tend to forget that multitasking is great, but I think you kind of do have to put in effort on one thing at a time. So
Mhm.
if you do end up making that effort beforehand just on the small things and actually building it up, you'll see the effects later on, because you'll realize that, oh, okay, I did this one thing ages ago, and actually now I have time to actually focus on something else. So systems like the Pomodoro technique or Eisenhower matrix, which is like prioritizing your time, stuff like this is like building towards a kind of habit and mindset where you can actually feel like you do have time to do other things. So it's not just like you want to be working the entire time. It's also that you do have to be prioritizing your well-being as well. So I think that's also a key aspect of it, because as architecture students and even as architects, we kind of tend to stay away from that and do all-nighters and blah 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 and all this stuff. But I think we need to stop doing this to ourselves, because I think it's not doing anyone good. So
Yeah, exactly. I really agree. And I think that we sort of train our brains a lot to do that. And we think that, if there is like a higher pressure with a project or a deadline, then no worries, we're just going to do it on nighter or work
right.
long hours. But the effectivity of that also over time is not so good. So like if you even combine 5 days of work in a row, you probably would be more effective if you just spread it over 2 weeks of really solid work and super focused, productive work, rather than trying to do everything in last minute. So I think it's really important to have that balance, and more so actually we're talking about this. I've seen a lot of conversations going on social media about the importance of the work-life balance, but not only that, but also just not overworking yourself with architecture. And I think that I, for myself, have noticed that when I do have a healthy balance, then I get more stuff done in the time of work. But when I work, sort of 10, 13 hours, because I think that I have to do something before the deadline, actually, I tend to maybe not procrastinate, but not work so effectively and so smartly, like navigate through everything that I have to do. So sometimes small tasks take longer just because, we're tired, or maybe we don't have the perspective onto what we're doing. So like actually disconnecting from it or going for a run really helps. And I think that it's important with time to learn to work like productively and really effectively in the time when the work is there. And of course, a lot of tools can be helpful for managing that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, it's not just about, working, 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 especially now, if you think about it, everyone's at home, everyone's been working from home for like the past year or whatever. And it's kind of getting to all of us, I think. So we're all kind of dying to kind of, go back outside and get to that sort of normality. But, until then, all we can do is kind of, adapt to the situation.
Absolutely. So you're working in an architecture studio now?
Yeah. So I'm a part one, so I'm on my year out, as you say. And yeah, it's a small practice, and they kind of specialize in care and assisted living projects. So it's super interesting because I didn't really think of applying to practices that had a really sort of small niche. But I think through that, I've become to learn a lot more about the care industry, which is great, which is something I never thought I'd be able to do. So yeah, it's going really well.
That's really interesting. I think that architects that niche out have a great possibility actually to become real experts in their industry, and lead by becoming really good at one thing. And I think that more and more so we have to move into this perspective of actually developing an expertise rather than trying to do everything and be good at everything. Having different skills is really important, but right now it's like we're still in this mindset that we think that an architect should do it all, and CAD drawing and have all the other different experiences. But when you go into practice more and more, so you realize that actually it's extremely important to have different specialists on the team and people that are really good at one thing or a few things that you can go to and really lean on their expertise, but also to bring in an expertise of your own. And I think that it can also work on a whole business scale. So it's really interesting how you're getting trained on in like a very niche architecture. How you're finding this?
I think it's really interesting because I was sort of looking for a job for like a whole year,
Yeah.
and I even kind of applied to uni to go back and do masters, and then as I was applying, I kind of landed this role, which was crazy. And I think the fact that it's such a small team, it's even better because I'm actually learning from all the people. And the way they're sort of structured is that half the team are sort of architects and the other half are technicians, architectural technicians.
Mm.
So it's also great seeing that sort of balance and how they're working together. So I'm kind of getting to see all aspects of the project in that case as well. And then on the care side of things, the fact that, I do have a blog and I do have experience with social media, I'm able to kind of also help out with their marketing side of things. So they're currently kind of going through a rebrand, and I'm able to offer my advice for the Instagram, for the Facebook, or for their website, and actually be able to contribute something for the blog posts and actually do research around the care industry as well, which is really interesting. And that's kind of giving me even more ideas for like masters and projects and things like that. And the stuff I've done in university before, it's kind of like, oh wow, I could have connected this to sort of this aspect of how they do stuff in care homes. So I think yeah, there's amazing learning opportunities in that sense.
Really interesting. So whereabouts do you live? Is it London, or
Yeah, so I'm based in West London.
do you think that looking for a job for a year, was that related to the fact that London is so busy and so many applicants are looking, or
Yeah, for sure. I think it was probably that. I think, when I went into it, when as soon as I graduated, my sort of thinking was that, okay, I'm gonna, get a job, do my year out, do my masters, go on this traditional route of becoming an architect. And obviously that didn't turn out. I had to sort of wait a whole year. But I think, yeah, I think part of it does have to do with the fact that I am in London and there's so many, people actually looking for the same job. And I did end up kind of giving about 10 or so interviews before I actually landed this role. So it was really tough, but I kind of, kept going as I could.
good. Well done. Congratulations. And
Thanks.
yeah, it's great. So, what is next for you, Sana?
I am not really sure actually. I think, I have been sort of every now and then I do like to sort of think a couple of years ahead. But sometimes I kind of think back and I'm just like, what if that doesn't work out? What am I going to do? So I'm kind of trying to keep things a little bit spontaneous at the moment. I think, Madcon was so sort of energy draining in that sense. It was amazing, but there was a lot of work put into it, and I think since that took up a lot of my time and energy, I just want to kind of focus on building to scale up for sort of this year or so. So I'm kind of thinking of doing a sort of website relaunch and kind of making that as effective as possible. Also getting on way more sort of guest posts and things, and just kind of keep engaging with the community, keep pushing out good content that people can kind of relate to and learn from. So I think that's kind of my goal for this year. I think just taking it easy, because I am obviously working, and although it's been kind of a journey getting to sort of balance both things, I do want to just take the time out and just sort of relax for a bit as well. And then having to, I think, do masters in September. I don't want to sort of put too many things on my plate or anything like that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so where do people go if they want to follow to scale or find you online?
Well, I would send them actually to my Instagram, because I think that's where I'm most active, and they can follow me at two dot scale. And yeah, I think also I think people kind of think that because I have so many followers, it's not so many, but they kind of think, oh, they won't respond, or they won't kind of reply to my questions and answers. But it's not like that. I'm totally replying to you as soon as I get that message, because I hate seeing that sort of notification. So yeah, like honestly, it's just as much as like people are getting to learn from the content I'm making, I'm also learning from people. So they can kind of feel free to sort of just DM me whenever if you have a question. And if I'm not able to answer it because I don't have that experience, then I'll definitely send you to someone else, because there's so many great people to learn from. So, but yeah, apart from that, you can also check out the blog posts I do on my website, which is twoscaleblog.co.uk, and on any other social media, I guess.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sana. Thanks, guys, also for tuning in. These shows are coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can click the little bell button for notifications on YouTube. So I'll see you there as well next Thursday, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Thanks.